You know what's a funny word? Wasp. Would you like to know where it comes from? I know you just said no, but it's actually pretty funny. The word wasp comes from a much funnier sounding word, waps, in Old English, which became wasp through a process known as metathesis, probably through influence from Latin vespa, which that word comes from the Proto-Germanic word wabis, which comes from an even older word from Proto-European wolspa or wolpsa. I've also found that there's a possibility it comes from the Proto-Indo-European word for weave, web, which means that the name for wasp would have came from the shape of their nests. Anyway, on to a review. Wasp and the Ant-Man, directed by Peyton Reed, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, and Michael Douglas. I feel like a really good description of this movie, or this part of the franchise in general, would be it's like Doctor Strange levels of doesn't make any sense meets the comedy of Thor Ragnarok. Because this was very funny, but none of the science made any sense. But like I was able to put that behind because of the tone. This was a very simple movie, and I love that about it. Like, the whole point was just to get Janet Van Dyne out of the quantum realm. Every other aspect of this movie had a direct relationship to that plot point. There were two factions of villains. Ghost, who wanted them to get Janet Van Dyne out for her power to save her life, and Walton Goggins' Sonny Birch, who wanted in on the technology to extract the quantum energy. So, like, everything was very tightly woven here, and I really appreciate that, because a lot of things I've been watching lately have been very convoluted. Peyton Reed, for those of you who don't know, is also the director behind one of my favorite movies of my childhood, Bring It On. It's very funny. I've watched it again as an adult, and it's not, as good as I thought it was when I was a kid, but Peyton Reed is a funny guy, and he knows how to make that translate to screen very well. A lot of the running jokes in this movie were killing it pervasively throughout the whole thing. Like the showing them the magic tricks, and Louise trying to save money. Like this, it was a hilarious movie, and after the events of Infinity War, we really need it. Paul Rudd is fantastic. At first, I wasn't entirely on board when he was cast to be Ant-Man because of his background in comedy and the fact that I've never seen him without a shirt on before now. Well, before the first Ant-Man or whatever. But his acting is actually really good. Like, when he started channeling Michelle Pfeiffer, like, it was instant. Like, I knew exactly what was happening. He was very good at it. Evangeline Lilly as well. I've seen her in a lot of nerdy shit, and she always puts enough into it. And the old people, Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer wasn't in it too much, but I loved her outfit when they found her in the quantum realm. They didn't explain why she needed to look like a Mad Max superhero, but I loved it. I want to get a better look at it and consider for cosplay. And Michael Douglas got to put on this bulky Ant-Man suit in order to go and do stuff. So like they let everyone do stuff. And this is the first time I've ever seen like an actual superhero, not a team up because they're a team, they're a partnership, like an actual duo of crime fighters. Not a sidekick, not a mentor passing on the torch. These two people work together, and they're equals, and I loved it. I've never seen that before. It makes it a little vague as to who's going to actually do the saving. I mean, they both saved each other once or twice, but it makes it, I don't know. It's definitely a new dynamic that I've never seen before. I mean, you could say that Hulk and Thor teaming up in Thor Ragnarok could be considered that, or Black Widow and Captain America and the Winter Soldier, but those were Thor and Captain America's movies, respectively. The other people were very clearly tacked on. Michael Pena, T.I., and David Dastmalchian, they were all fantastic. They were bringing back their characters. The Baba Yaga bits were great. The new people they brought in, though, was Walton Goggins, who, he was doing his thing, Honestly, I think he was better on Community. He was more menacing as the polygraph administrator. And Hannah John Kamen? Hannah John Kaman? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But I thought she was really good. She reminded me of like Rashida Jones mixed with Emily Blunt. I've never seen her before, but I'm told she's on Game of Thrones, and I don't remember her character at all. She was also apparently in Ready Player One, but I wasn't looking for her, so I don't know which one she was. I'm not going to watch that movie again just for that. But I thought she was really good, and I liked that they kept her alive, especially since the whole point of the movie was she was trying to stay alive. It would be kind of ridiculous to kill her. She and Lawrence Fishburne were part of the second faction of villains who weren't actually evil. They just didn't like Hank Pym for very, very good reasons. For a lot of the same reasons why people aren't going to like me when I'm old. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Lawrence Fishburne grow to be the full Goliath, but there's always Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, or would this be Ant-Man 3? How do you start numbering from here? Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Goliath? I don't know. Yeah, Wait, what was Cassie's superhero name when she was, like, in the comics, she grew up and she became some kind of growing person? That's what they should do next. Wait till Cassie's older. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot not to like about this movie. They even brought Bobby Cannavale out and, like, made him likable, which is pretty difficult. Most movies I've seen him in, he's been a dick. Um, he's very good at being a dick. Even in Jumanji, I was sitting there watching, and I was like, I want to like you, man, but your whole character is just pointless. But like he wants to be liked, I can tell. But in this, I could like him. You know, he was fun. He wasn't sort of a half antagonist. Randall Park was sort of a half antagonist, but I really fucking like Randall Park. Not just from the interview, but from other things. He was in Community as well. Honestly, the more people from Community that get into Marvel, the happier I'm going to be. And the more confused I'm going to be whenever I hear those jokes that they were making about Marvel in Season 6. I honestly think they're just salty because the Russo brothers left. But anyway, I think that's alright. I think I've said enough. Go on, see that movie. It's Marvel movie number 20 now? 19? So, go out and see it.